Alright, hey. We had something else here come in. We're actually sticking the 70mm throttle body on from Modern Performance onto the JMF intake. Packaged up here. I'm going to wait to cut this open until we actually get it installed onto the intake. But it made it. Alright, so here's the harness, man. Let's take this thing out of the bag. But, these things come with every single part labeled. Where does it go? Air intake sensor, idle, knock, TPS. Alright, so this goes to the starter. Let's see what we got here. This one here. See if this works the same way as the other one did. Now, always turn that overhead light on, gives us better light down in here. Let's get them off to the side. Let's see what we got here. We need crank sensor. Nicely locked down into place. Coolant sensor. Injector. There's the one I'm looking for. There's that. Okay, we got the AC switch, the AC clutch. So let's drop them down here. Line. All right. Here's our 4 injectors. I'm just going to lay them up over top of that. Coil pack. I'm just going to run this up through here the same way as that one. Lay it up in here. It's going to be a little while till we get that plugged in. Now, this one, map sensor, we're just going to lay that there because that's going to be connected to the intake. So, right now, basically, what we got here? Idle air control. So that'll come over this way. And so will throttle body sensor. So let's just set those there. Now, since everything's plugged in right here now, I can actually grab up the starter. I'm gonna double check these threads. Probably chase them because they look like they're a little, well, this will actually plug into the starter, and this will go onto the starter also. The rest of these kind of run down up underneath and then come up over across to the alternator. That's the way I ran them on mine. That's the way I've seen them run on another car. So we should be good there. Still waiting on the insulation to get delivered today for that rear wall. We're gonna break out our new hoses here for this. All right, so we got these fed up through here. What you'll be able to pick up, but we got our oil sending unit is plugged in. Some of these will all have to be zip tied. Here's the back side of the alternator, and then our fuel pump for our dual fuel pump feed. All right, anytime you do this, you want to switch these over. This works as a shield, and it'll snap onto the back, and it'll keep your heat shield from grounding out against your positive. So we have to make sure that we put this on. The one that was on the car was really melted, so we dug one out to replace it. Along with that, I always like to stick these little plugs right back in there. It keeps the dirt out of the inside of the frame rail. So in turn, it keeps it from rusting. All right. Let's just jump down here real quick and take a look. So we haven't run across. I still got to dig out a bolt for here, but speedometer's in. This is for our O2 sensor, which will feed that up through and just finish that stuff out. I did do some wiping down here of some of the stuff on the bottom. All right, we got some other things here. We got our lines on. I got this started. Like I said, I'm waiting to try to get this back together. But right now I'm at the point where I'm getting ready to set the lower the radiator in. But we do have to do some assembly with those. So let's get this ready to go here. All right, there we go. Let's see what's going on in here. All right, looks like you get a nice little sticker with it. Let's just look at this thing here real quick. Looks pretty darn nice. There's for our give you bolts for your condenser. Very nice, very clean. Get this fan kit opened up. Let's set this onto here. Alright, now they included this, which I assume is probably supposed to go on the back side of this. Alright, it's a little bit of an insulation, so I believe it's supposed to go on the back side of this rad before it gets bolted down to this to kind of help seal it. And then if you get any vibration, you don't have the aluminum, you know, rubbing against each other. Also, when you get these fans, they're not wired to fit right up. So we're going to grab the factory harness and we're going to be cutting it. All right. The reason we're going to cut it is so that we can run these together and we'll have a direct fit plug in case we ever have to remove anything. Not only that, we're damaging a replaceable harness that can be purchased separately for the fans and not part of our main harness. And then we're not going to be, you know what I mean, you could make stuff up to go in here, but these aren't exactly a weather tight connector. And hey, let's face it, cars get driven. All right, let's move over here to work table B. I'm going to clean my hands, make sure they're good and clean before I touch that. And then I'll prep this with, I'll put a little bit of brake cleaner on a rag. That way I know this has any oils cleaned off so that this stuff sticks. You can see there was actually some dirt on there. We're going to see how far it's going to go, but I'm going to start across the top. Then I'm going to do my sides. I'm going to get the rest of this taken care of. Then I'll come back to you when I'm getting the wiring done. moving right along, man. We got some shiny in the front, some shiny in the back. I think it came out okay as far as, you know, heat shielding over top of the paint. Got it tucked up in there pretty nice. Right now I'm looking for replacement brackets for that. Brake lines there to hold them back. I did dust them with some paint too, so seems that they were there. We got everything hooked to the back of the alternator. I got the radiator completely assembled. Everything worked out good there. I soldered all of my connections. And like I said, I put the plug end on, so we're all soldered together. I'm gonna wrap this with some other loom and then tuck it up. And then we'll zip tie that back. But I think right now we're almost at the point where I could start working on assembling. So I can put the computer in and get the ECM remounted. I'm gonna start working on assembling the intake manifold with the throttle body. Also found a broken ABS sensor here. Looks like it was broke for a while, kind of dirty underneath there. Hard to say though. Looks like it might have been rubbing there a little bit. But I have another one, so we're gonna get that thrown on too. Still got to get the turbo cleaned up so it can go back on, and then we got to get everything else resealed. Like I said, we'll get the new drain lines on. Then we'll get the exhaust hooked back up. I got to get the clamps on here for these hoses. They all look like they went on really, really nicely. I'll still have to figure out what I'm doing here, kind of repair this vacuum line. This vacuum line right here feeds your HVAC controls for like your blend door and stuff like that. Battery harness we fixed up a little bit. We ran the ground wire down incorrectly. I'm going to take and probably plan to clean these up too. Try to make them look a little bit better. But man, we're getting there. We're ticking stuff off. Well, one plug at a time here. All right, well, let's get this thing out of the bag. This is so much nicer. These are a whole lot thicker than my older one. Everything's labeled. Comes with I guess a part number on it now. Bloop, bloop. All right, let's see what this modern throttle body looks like. All right, there we go. I was wondering if anything come with this. Okay, let's take a look. Allen heads. Man, they're tight because they are small. Wow. All right, let's see what we got. Getting this thing installed here. There's an O-ring in there that's like folded over. That was the large one that was in the back. So I got it like pushed in. Right now I'm working on tightening it down. Look, it's blue. We got the old one sitting up here on our friendly work box. What I'm doing is I'm actually pulling everything off that we're going to need to switch over, so I can get them cleaned up and prepped. Go right onto the other intake. Smells like corn. Alright, so I'm not exactly liking what I'm seeing here. This thing's sitting. Look at that. We got the E85s already gelling up in these injectors. they're just some lids, so I'll be able to pop them off here, hopefully clean these things out. It's not what you want to see. There we go. Stripped. Alright. That's good. Screens did their job. Burned. Alright, I've got all of the injectors cleaned down. So all I'm doing right now is just taking some WD-40 and I'm just cleaning this up. Just because it's off. We're putting it on a new intake. You might as well, yeah, make it look good. WD-40 works really good for cleaning the... It's tedious, but the end result is really nice. So I'll get this cleaned up, and then I got to clean up the sensors and stuff. Then we can work on getting some of that stuff assembled onto our intake. I did set it in here just, well, to put it out of the way and see what it looked like. I'll have to figure out which way I'm running some of the lines, and then I can get them installed. I'm going to throw the ECM in here today, and man, we're just down to trying to get some stuff bolted back together, get some stuff cleaned up, and hopefully, you know, I'll have the older fuel drained out of this thing, and we can get some fresh stuff ready to go. We'll get it installed, and hopefully we can pull this thing out of here in the next couple days. Alright, well, still working on the intake, but I figured I'd start draining some of this fuel out, and this thing has jumped out like it should run out, but man, we got problems with our fuel system. Yeah, that stuff was pretty gelled inside those fuel injectors. That has me worried here what I'm gonna find. Luckily this has a filter. The filter could be clogged. I was hoping to be able to drain everything out. It's got a half a tank in it. Alright, well, this is the fun stuff. Alright, so we ended up, well, I ended up pulling the filter out and checking it. It's kind of weird. It's got a magnet on the bottom. I thought that was pretty wild. Kind of goes in there like a flashlight battery, but pulled that out thinking that that was clogged, which was why the fuel pump wasn't draining. So, well, we just pulled the whole tank, because now we got to check out the fuel pump to see what's going on with that. Since it's out, I want to be able to test it, so I'll probably drop it into a bucket, but I want to get everything together underneath the hood. So the turbo's cleaned up and reinstalled, so we got to get the O2 housing. I got to get the drain tube on, and then I'm going to start working on the intake side. Okay, so we got to get that, and then let me show you. I got a lot of the intake here assembled. I want to get 2 more of these plugs. Got this switched over. I need to get smaller washers for that, but there we go. I mean, let's sit back. Let's add this up. How much was the intake? How much was the throttle body? How much are the sensors? How much is the rail? How much is the injectors? How much is this return? That right there is one expensive piece. But that's going to make power. So, yeah. It's kind of where we're at. Went through some bolts. Here's our old gasket. We got a new one on there now. So, they give you a lot of stuff. This is what we had left over. These are the other bolts. You don't use the adapter plates. We have that. These, on the other hand, right in this area is going to need ground. At least that's what I did on the one when I installed it on mine. So I'm sure that this is going to be exactly the same. But we're very close. Very close. This here, I guess I'm going to clean that up and actually get it painted. I think I have another piece, or another section for that. Here's Muffin saying hi. And yeah. Get this oil line connected. Well, we're pretty much down to like very little. It does look a whole lot better. Everything is coming along the way we want it to. I gotta get that needs installed, so I guess I'll break out the welder. I'll get this tacked back together somewhat so that it helps hold it. It should have a bigger, thicker plate. What would be ideal would be to have the crash bar. Mine has a crash bar that actually holds that on. Before I got the rad in, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I straightened this out, pushed that down a little bit more here in the middle. So everything seems to be fitting up pretty good. Yeah. So we're off to getting that cleaned up. We need to get a gasket, get that installed, get this gas tank drained. The filter was actually pretty clean. There wasn't really too much in there. When we dropped the tank, I noticed we need one of these. These things always sometimes will get pushed through if you don't line the seat up right, so we're going to install one of those also. But that's it. We're calling it a day, and we're out.